appreciate it.
So let's talk about this record.
Cool to watch.
Thank you.
It's really cool.
It's from... No, it's not from your home state. It's from New Hampshire.
Oh, well,
Close.
still.
Close.
Close enough.
It's a Lion, the Beast, the Beat. The song. It's 2 songs, essentially, right?
Yes.
So how
The
did that...
first part used to be called Steady.
Okay.
And it was actually 2 tracks, but when we went to record it, we had a little bit of a Wilco Yankee Hotel Foxtrot moment where we were like, well, let's just glue the songs together because we're going to do it anyways. So let's just play them and perform them together. And by the time we did do that, it just felt like it was one full piece of music. It wasn't really 2 different things, you know. So it was a really fun process of figuring out quite how to produce it, you know.
Right. Who's playing the riff? Is that you or is that one of your
That's
guitar
Scotty.
players?
But
Okay.
I wrote the riff. It's funny. I wrote the riff and a lot of the guitar solos on the keyboard, which is funny because if you listen to the record, same with Stars. I wrote the guitar solo for Stars. I wrote a few of the guitar solos with the guitar in mind, but tried to kind of create a guitar tone on a weird little Casio keyboard that I bought in Spain for like $50.
Cool.
And I would put on like the really bad Casio tone and just play and sort of imagine. And so when Scott and Benny learned the guitar part, I didn't realize it's a hard riff to play on guitar. Just fingering wise, it's a very strange riff. So it took a while to get to a point where I almost tried to rewrite the riff so they could play it, but then they're baller and they know how to play anything.
Do you typically write on piano or guitar?
I just am not that good of a guitar player, and I'm a better piano player. So
You got the chords nailed down.
I can
Sure.
play the chords, and I'm a rhythm guitarist. You know what I mean? I love playing guitar, but at the heart of it, I mean, don't ask me to play a guitar solo. Don't ask me to play scales. You know what I mean? That's just not
But
what
for
I do.
writing, it's different, right? For writing, it's
Yes.
just chords and
Yeah.
melodies and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you sit at a piano and do it most of the
Yeah,
time?
and sometimes I'll sing them.
Okay.
So, like, for the Stars guitar solo, I actually sang it first and then learned it on the keyboard and then taught it to the guys who then transferred it into the guitar. But I always knew I wanted it to be a guitar part.
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned Stars a lot, so let's talk about that tune because
Yeah.
it is a country song. Like,
It is.
you're pushing yourself into that world, and you should, because that's what the money
But
is,
it
right?
isn't. But it isn't, dude. It's like, it's funny because I think about the Eagles, I think about Jackson Brown, I think about these people that I love.
Oh, you're talking 70s.
You
though.
know,
Country's different
70s.
than
But
70s
that's
country.
the thing is, I think if anything, that song to me is meant to be. It's not meant to be a country song. It's meant to be an accidental sort of country crossover. Because when I wrote it, it sounded like Yellow, Coldplay. It was a totally not country song. When I wrote it, if you listen to the first demo, it
Which I
was
won't, but
really
that's fine.
well. You won't hear it exactly. If you ever were sneaky and got on my computer and heard it,
Okay, I'll work on that.
you would hear it's sort of it's more along the lines of even the Avett Brothers have a few songs that really I wanted it at the core to be an acoustic song and a very, very simple sentiment that was being sort of passed over. But then Kenny got his hands on it, and I don't know if you've heard the Kenny version.
I have.
But
I was going to ask you, how
we
come that's not
both-
the album cut?
because I don't want to. I think I don't want to be anybody's protege necessarily,
Okay.
and I think Kenny is a dear, dear friend, and the song means a lot to him. It's something that he actually asked if he could record with me.
Oh, no way.
He heard the version that we have on the record and said, "That's such a great song. I would love to recut
that's a
it.
compliment, eh?
I would
Jesus.
really love to cut it with you guys and try it in Nashville. Just come down because we were already going to be in Nashville doing the Willie Nelson song from the bonus cut.
Also not on the
by your
record.
company. Also
These
not-
massive stars, not on the record.
Well, this is not that kind of record. I think
Yeah.
it wasn't like a star-studded event. It was more of like a band coming into their own, on their own, and getting a little darker and a little more evil than we usually
Yeah,
do.
what's that tune? Lonely, I wrote it.
Loneliest Soul,
That's
yeah.
a weird ass tune.
Yeah, it's a weird song,
It's
huh?
got a sick bass groove to
Yeah,
it, but
yeah, yeah.
I don't know what that rhythm is.
Spooky.
Yeah, spooky.
That was one that
That's
we
like
did with
one
Dan
of these,
Auerbach.
spooky. Okay, so that's
so
one.
actually
Okay.
Dan produced that track, and we did that one in Nashville with Dan, where we were listening to. The music, the influences on this record are pretty broad. Like you listen to.
They always are for you, though.
Oh, always. But I wasn't listening to pop music. I was listening to lots of weird kind of Bollywood and some strange.
Yeah, okay, I hear that. Sure.
Yeah. Like, especially on Turntable and Lonely Soul, you can hear the Bollywood stuff. But I tried not to listen to any pop music, like, at all, over the course of the whole record. I didn't really want to, even 60s and 70s rock, I just kind of wanted to get away from it and just let us be our own temple and kind of build our own thing. And it really worked well because you can hear how many different it spans.
Oh yeah, it's an eclectic
the
record, but
listens,
it still sonically fits somehow.
Yeah, Yeah, well, I mean,
maybe that's the track listing. I don't know.
The track order has a lot to do with that. Also, the fact that we recorded it in so many different places. When I came back together with the producer, Jim Scott, and myself, who I co-produced the record, and Dan co-producing, it was like, how do we make all these pieces fit? And there's a little bit of like a tessellation kind of conversation about it. Yeah, but you know, that's what this record is. It's a tessellation of different ideas and shapes that all somehow fit together.
So when did you, because I heard that you scrapped it at some point.
I did.
So do any of those songs make the cut in a different way?
They
or
did.
Every song just be like, the hell with it? Let's start
I
over?
recut everything. But I mean, I kept a few of the songs, but I had a pile of songs in the fall that felt pretty much like a hit record, you know. But all the songs just sort of didn't feel the same. They didn't feel like they were connected to each other. It just felt like 13 or 15 songs that were just sort of floating around together, and I didn't feel like they were tied down to anything. It was just sort of a lot of ideas coming in from the outside.
Sure.
I wanted this record to be a soulful record that had a heartbeat at the center of it, and a lot of those lyrics kept sort of turning up and that's why it's called The Lion, the Beast, the Beat, is because so much of the record sort of comes back to that, like, sort of human instinct.
Well, you reference it too, don't you? In one of the other songs, Divide, I think.
I reference it in The
Roulette?
Divide.
One
I
of those
reference
last
it in
tracks.
Roulette. I reference it in Timekeeper.
Okay.
I reference it in Runaway.
So
There's
was it written first, and then you decided let's try and tie it together?
No, it was the other way. It was actually accidental. It was
That's
the other way
interesting.
around. It was like the lyric just kept coming back, and I started feeling really unoriginal. I'm like, can I think of a better word? Like, what's my problem, you know? But
That means it's a hit. That means you got something,
maybe
right?
it was just those themes just kept coming back. Yeah.
So what did scrapping, what did you do? I heard you went to Big Sur, which is
I
like my
did.
haven for everything. It's the greatest place in the
I
world.
went to Big Sur. I continued north up to Carmel, and really kind of enjoyed the idea of just being on a road trip by myself. I haven't
Just
been by
you?
myself in
Okay.
a long time.
With what, like a notepad or
Notepad and a guitar and some mushrooms.
something? Shrooms. Okay. All right.
And
That's a
I like
dangerous drive on
wandered
shrooms.
off
What are you
into the. I
thinking?
wasn't on shrooms driving.
Okay,
No, it was
alright.
just like I would stop and wander into the woods for like a half a day or something.
Okay.
But I
Like, we
really,
can't print that.
I no, of course it better not. But I tried to get back to what the thing was I thought we were doing at the beginning of the record, which was I want to make it important. Every record should be important. Every record should feel great
Sure.
and epic and wonderful. And to me, it just felt like I had a bunch of like songs that could or might be on the radio. They were all kind of B plus, A minus kind of pop songs, and it was like all the things that it was a dream for a record company with any other pop artist that could record them and turn them into whatever they want to
Yeah.
be. But that's not what we are, you know. Like I don't want to be Katy Perry, at all. You know, I don't want to be Adele. I don't. I respect them as artists, but that's not what I want. I want to have a career where when I'm, 55, 60, 65, 70, that I'm still singing these songs. And that it's not like aw shucks, like, I don't really want to be doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I mean, I don't want those songs. So
Right.
I scrapped anything I had any questions or doubts about and started over.
So what stuck? What are some
Stars
of the stuff?
stuck.
Okay.
Keepsake stuck. And then also the idea of The Lion, the Beast, the Beat, which was, like you were saying at the beginning of the interview, there were 2 songs.
Sure.
I had half of each song. I didn't really have the lyrics quite completed, and I wanted that to be a real opus. I wanted that to tell a pretty broad story and cover a lot of ground. So I wrote and finished that. I also finished Timekeeper, finished Parachute Heart. I scrapped a bunch of other songs but stole some lyrics from them that I liked and put them
Sure.
into songs like Runaway. And then I also wrote from scratch. I wrote The Divide. I also wrote a few other songs that I loved, but the whole point of leaving was so that I could come back and be with the band and figure out what the band wanted to do. So I brought 13 new songs to the band in January and played all of them. And we reviewed everything that we had recorded and then all the new ideas that I came back with. And I just wanted to record the ones that the band loved. basically, because that's what
a good
this is
idea.
all about. I mean,
Sure.
we have to tour on this record for a year and a half, 2 years. Better love every single song, and the band has to love them too. So I just went with the songs that we all played well enough together. You
Talking
know?
about touring the stadium shows.
Yeah.
Could you play Lion, Beast, and the Beat? In
Oh,
30
yeah.
minutes?
Oh, my God.
Because that's a stadium
We
song.
did it. We opened with it.
Okay,
it's funny because, of course, the country audience doesn't know what to do with
No,
us.
but
When
whatever.
we
but
started,
that's a stadium song.
It's a stadium song, all right. It's very fun to play live. I mean, the structure of the song. A lot of times we'll record a song, and then when we bring it out live, it changes. Not so with Lion, the Beast, the Beat. I knew that song was just like, it was written and built for a stadium. You're right. So I really...
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's fun.
I know we don't have too much time, so I want to go back a little bit. I just want to know about this artist compound you grew up in, so I can start the article with this, because obviously that's going to inform who you become, right?
Yeah,
So tell me, a compound of just painters and sculptors?
It's
and
just my
musicians? What
dad
is
and
it?
my mom, but what happened was that my dad's company, he's a sign maker, and he had like 11 or 12 employees, so the whole space was
What do
constantly...
you mean by signs? Like billboards that we
My
see?
dad makes he does all the signs for Ben & Jerry's ice cream.
Oh, no way.
And he does a lot of the American Ski Company stuff, so if you ever go on a ski trip in
like
the
Sugar Bush or
States...
something.
Sugar Bush, yeah, exactly. Well, that's where I live, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I mean, I'm
I've been there
from...
once.
But Mad River Glen, but also out in Utah, he did the Canyons Resort. He's done a lot of the bigger ski resorts out west.
Cool.
But he's a sign maker, and so there were all these people around all the time that were, trying to figure out what these kids were doing there. And I mean, I thought it was a commune basically, but it was actually just my family with a bunch of employees cruising around all the time. So no one else lived on the compound with us. It was just that they were there all day, so it felt very communal. But there were all these different buildings. One was for the fabrication of the signs, one was for the painting and the vinyl printing, and one was an office for all the sort of business side of it. Then my mom had her own building for her bowl
does she
company.
do?
She
Okay.
paints hand-painted wooden bowls.
Oh, that's awesome.
Beautiful wooden bowls from Vermont. And
You should sell them to merch tape.
I know, right? Her price point's a little higher than,
Right.
than our CD sales,
Sure.
but and they also had a production company in the 70s called Dream On Productions, which was actually a slideshow multimedia company before MTV was around, or VH1, or any of these sort of music television channels. My parents would cruise around and tour with music and slides and take pictures. They did the 1980 Olympics at Lake Placid. They went on cruises, and they'd take pictures all day. They'd develop the film. They'd put it to music and then show it that night in the bar, so people could come to the bar and see themselves.
That's amazing.
Very cool idea.
Yeah.
So Dream On Productions had this plethora of albums, so that's how I grew up listening to all this different music.
Like what? What were some of them?
Oh, Spooky Tooth, The Kinks, the band, a lot of Beatles, Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, and Maggie Bell. I grew up with a lot of Jefferson Airplane. Basically all the records with cool record covers: Jethro Tull, King Crimson, The Who. I loved The Who. My dad was like, "Those guys are on cocaine, Grace. That's bad stuff." And I just love, because there was like Teenage Wasteland when they get faster and faster and faster at the end. I remember my dad being like, "That is cocaine. Don't do that."
It's cocaine and genius.
Yeah, exactly. Genius, exactly. But it was just a great way to grow up, listening to all that classic music and not realizing it was classic. I thought it was pop music. I didn't realize that there was new music out there.
Well, you're my age, so
Yeah.
the 80s not so. There's not too much going on.
There wasn't a lot
Yeah.
going on. I mean, I knew Michael Jackson and Madonna, and that was basically it.
Yeah.
That was it. The only two good things that came from this. That's not true.
And
I like
us.
the Talking Heads.
Talking
Talking Heads, and there's a few other good things that happened in the 80s, but not too many.
Right. Okay, so 5 quick questions, 1 word answers.
Okay.
Road or studio?
Road.
Lennon or McCartney?
Lennon.
When you hear a song, it usually hits you first: lyrics, melody, or rhythm.
Rhythm.
Song you've written you're most proud of? Yeah, that's a tough one. Today.
Stars.
Cool. And it's a 1 word answer. That's amazing. In 1 word, Grace Potter. And the Nocturnals. Let's go the whole day. How am I supposed to print that? I'll figure out a way. I'll have a little MP3 SoundCloud thing or something. And I got 2 Twitter questions from the same chick, but I said I'd ask them anyway.
Fine.
Will there be a video out for Stars, and will you be in the video for El Cerrito?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes, there's a video out for Stars. It's actually coming out on it's debuting Saturday, 8 a.m. on VH1 in the U.S. I don't know if it'll be in Canada.
I think she's American.
So yes, it's actually debuting this weekend. It's a big deal, 8 a.m. on the VH1 channel. And El Cerrito Place, I don't know anything about a music video. Kenny hasn't talked to me about it.
This is the song you're on, I'm assuming.
Yeah, El
right?
Cerrito Place is a new, it's Kenny's next single, but I'm not featured on it. I'm just like a backup singer, you know, on this particular song. So, whereas with You and Tequila, it said Kenny Chesney featuring Grace Potter. So, because my name isn't actually in print, I'm just, I love being like the ghost in the background. I'm kind of like Joni Mitchell backstage at you know, the last waltz where she's like behind the curtain. That's me.
I love Emilio Esposito. You just see so much coke.
Oh my God, I know. Can you see when they tried to, like, the 70s airbrush?
And everyone's kind of pointing at
them. Like the bad job that they did trying to airbrush it out. Oh my God, amazing. I know.
Well, they don't look like we need to wrap. I can keep asking you questions. Are you cool with this?
I'm totally cool with this,
yeah. What do we want to talk about? I want to talk about, let's see what I wrote. T-Bone Burnett.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened to that record?
It's shelved.
It's not.
I hate saying that, but...
Because you're really pushing yourself, and you said you're not before, but you're kind of delving into the country world more and more.
Yeah, and that record actually, I mean, it's the farthest thing from country. I mean, that record was... it's a fucking awesome record. It's a really cool record.
And what is it? Just you and a piano
but the thing
and T-Bone producing?
It's T-Bone with his band, so it's not the Nocturnals, which is why it didn't go out.
Is this the Plant Krause band?
This is basically all the same guys from the Plant Krause era.
Cool.
And it's, Dennis Crouch on the bass guitar, Mark Ribot playing guitar, this amazing guy Keefus, who's sort of a madman keyboard player, and also Jim Keltner on the drums, which is huge.
Yeah.
So I didn't really... I didn't know what the record company was going to do with that record. I was just so excited to take the opportunity to work with T-Bone.
Sure.
And at that time, the band was in a bit of limbo, and so I just I'm a very proactive person, so I just went out and made a record. I said, well, while we're figuring out what we're doing as a band, I'm going to go do this. And it was a bit of a crossroads for the band, and I love that the record company recognized that, you know, it was not the end of days for Grace Potter and the Nocturnals. They saw a couple of our live shows and watched some footage of us at Bonnaroo, and it completely reignited the record company's belief in
when the fact. This was after this somewhere, or after the subtitle? Okay,
this is 2009. Gotcha. This is like Bonnaroo 09 was the real crossroads where the record company just said, like, this is electric, and like we got to get this. We got to get whatever's going on stage with Grace and you know, the new bass player Cat Popper, the new guitarist Benny Yurko, and also Scott and Matt and myself from the original band. They just said this is too good to just put out a T-Bone Burnett record with all this energy and electric energy going on. So they said, just go back to the studio. It's not that we don't love the T-Bone record. It's that Grace the band deserves a platform here.
Sure.
Which is a pretty cool thing for a record company to do. And
especially at that level for you, too.
Oh, my God. I mean, and with a T-Bone, like, they know that they were looking at, like, an easy million records just because it was a T-Bone. You know what I mean? So the fact that they've dug their feet in and said, you know, you really need to make sure that this is the right thing and that the Nocturnals get properly represented. I thought that was pretty great. So T-Bone Burnett record is, as we like to say, it's on the middle burner because it will see the light of day. It's just a question of what the right platform is for it, you know?
Cool. They're all staring at me, so I'll let you go. They were a second ago.
You're getting stared at?
Thank you.
It was good talking to you.
You too.